So, good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome back to the channel. This is video number 2 out of however many videos I can fathom in one day. News seems to be a little bit slow at the moment in terms of breaking news compared to how it's been in most other days so far in this transfer window, even though we've not really signed anyone, not really selling anyone at the moment, but we might be heading towards a potential official first sale in this transfer window, and it's what should be a bigger sale. But unfortunately, with the way that valuations have gone and contract sizes and whatnot, Eric Bailly has allegedly been listed on the market at £2 million. £2 million. We signed him from Villarreal for £30 million. We have made a £28 million loss. Like, I mean, it's not every day. It's not every day that a club can say that they spent £30 million on a player to then allow him to go for £2 million. I think even for those who predicted, you know, who had say like the buy and sell lists, they probably had Eric Bailly on that list at probably around sort of like 10 million. Obviously going to be dirt cheap, but that's what you kind of have to expect with a lot of Deadwood players because you have to sell them on. It's priority number one is just get them out of the club, and unfortunately we haven't been doing that for the past 5-10 years with players that we need to get rid of. We don't get rid of them, we sign them to new contracts and protect valuation. Problem is here though is you can't really sign them to protect valuation when there is no value in the player, and two, you're paying extortionate wages for players that you're not going to keep, that you're not going to, basically are not going to be here at this club when you're growing and actually getting to be more successful. Like, they're not the level, they're not the standard. So if they're not going to offer you anything, it's basically out the door with you, and I think the idea that it's £2 million probably suggests to me that a theory that Man United players getting, with the bad negotiations at this club, as I've mentioned in the previous video that I posted earlier this morning, which if you haven't seen that already, do go check it out. I was talking about Marcus Rashford getting a new contract, but this video basically ties into the whole contract situations and the mess that it pretty much all is. And basically, once again, bad negotiating from the club, over the years. It's just a case it's coming back. It's just catching back up to us. It's just a case it's catching back up to us. When we want to get rid of a player, you can't get rid of them with the same sort of ease, or you can't really be directing just, off you go out the door. There's a whole list of clubs, we accept the best value, and you negotiate with the club, and happy days. But the problem is there's no one really fancies negotiating with a player who's not really as high importance or is of that higher quality, whilst they're already getting paid hundreds of thousands every week. And Eric Bailly definitely doesn't warrant having the sort of wages that he has. It's the same situation with Anthony Martial. If the idea that the club wants to sell Anthony Martial, can you really sell them though? Can you really sell them with ease? Can you do that? Because he's already on astronomical wages of for the sort of level that he's at the moment. Not to say that he can't go to another club and then suddenly he hits the ground running and turns into a superstar, like a late bloomer. But I mean, it's just one of those things because we negotiate so badly that the wages, we stick it where a player who you can say should be around sort of like a 50 to 100,000 a week player, they'll probably be sat on about 150 to 200,000 a week. It's one of those situations. Like, it's no coincidence that when you look at like the top 10 players of the highest earners in the highest earning players in this league, that Man United players take up like 5 out of the top 10. I think that was before we had. I think it was probably before last season that we just had before the season had started. That they showed the highest earners and a lack of Liverpool players that were on there because this is before Liverpool had the massive drop off in the season we've just had. But it paints the picture. It painted the picture of everything we basically just needed to know. It's all just summarized. It's just compressed into this little box of facts, and it just is parked there, and it's staring everyone in the face every time we get a story about a player in Manchester United's colours being linked to a move away. But then you look at the financials of it, and it's just like, well, it's very, very cheap. It's like Andreas Pereira. You're selling him for £10 million. I mean, cool. His wages weren't massive, massive wages. Still was earning more than he should have been earning for starters, and Fulham were probably one of the only clubs that would pay the fee for him. And that's the thing that the club's going to have to start doing with a lot of these players, is negotiating or allowing buyers to bid very, very cheap bids for our players. This is just going to have to be the case. You have to bid very low on let these players go, because the wages are too astronomical for half of these clubs to actually fit into their wage bills, to fit into their wage structures, because it's the player is not worth the amount that they're getting paid. So you can't say like it's like half of the players that went out on loan because we couldn't sell them, because no clubs wanted to buy to take on full wages, because the players won't negotiate for massive pay cuts to fit into wage structures. So how is it that you get around that? You sell for unbelievably cut prices. So Eric Bailly, say he's earning a respectable wage, a fair wage in relation to how good he is actually as a player, you'd say, well, quite a few clubs in Europe might actually be looking into potentially signing Eric Bailly. But as it stands, we've only really got interest from, according to Simon Jones from Mail Sport, on behalf of the United Stand, because it's pretty much their sort of first base reporting, or they're quite quick with the news that comes out. So allegedly only Real Betis so far have any interest in signing Eric Bailly, despite the idea that we've just listed him for £2 million. And even then, I don't think you're going to see a huge contingent of clubs just queuing up to sign him, because his wages, it's literally all to do with the wages. And that's the problem with a lot of these top leagues, is because their financials are not quite like the Premier League. It's a lot tighter for a lot of these clubs, because you're not going to sell them to a Bayern Munich. You're not going to sell Bailly to Real Madrid or Barcelona. You're going to sell them to a smaller club, a significantly smaller club, where the finances are very tight. It's very difficult to work around, and that's where the struggle comes from. And that's the problem yet again with a club that negotiates huge wages or over the top wages for players that don't warrant those wages. They're not at that level. So if you've got a world-class player, right, that is on, say, 150,000 a week at Manchester United, and you suddenly say, well, we're going to sell him, you'll actually get quite a fair bit of interest. And some of these bigger clubs will take them, because it's a world-class player for, wages may put a dent, but it's worth it, because you're paying the money for a quality player, and it's worth paying that amount of money for them. But if it's someone like Eric Bailly, like, no offense to the guy, you're not starting for, I think, let's say, not starting for, say, like 30% of all the clubs in like all the top 5 leagues in Europe. Probably not starting for them. I think he started a fair few games on loan for Marseille, had his kung fu moment in kicking someone in the face, got a 10-game ban, I believe it was. And that was pretty much the only highlight that Eric Bailly had for his loan spell at Marseille. So he's not, even though he's had the opportunity to get consistent game times, because he left on loan because he wasn't getting game time, So even then, he didn't set the world alight. So it's like, well, he's not done himself any favors either by making himself seem like an actual good prospect to buy. It might work out for a club if they do sign him. He's not he's not sold he's not sold himself in the market in the shop window very well. So it's just now left to Manchester United to have to cut their losses. And the priority for us as a club, don't worry about good relations. We're not Edu, we're not Arsenal. Don't have the gentleman's agreements and all of that stuff. We are Manchester United, and priority number one is trophies and success, right? And if you have to be absolutely brutal, right, and maybe Bailly leaves Manchester United in floods of tears, but if the decision that is made and the process we've taken to get to where we need to go means that we can build towards being successful and will inevitably prove to be a successful decision, or a decision that leads to success, then it's what has to happen. We can't. It's priority number one. It's the whole premise of being an elite level club. You have to make hard decisions. You have to make brutal decisions, tough decisions. Having to sell a player for £28 million less than from what you bought him at, to a banker, they're going to be tearing their hair out. But we're a football club. We're not a bank. So, if it means that you sell Bailly under any circumstance, I mean, quite a few of this fans and the fan base, I'm sure, would happily just see players leave for free if it means that they are off the books. So you have slots in your squad that you put players that are actually good enough quality or improved quality. It's at the end of the day, it's a football club, it's an elite level football club, and you're trying to win things. So it's just more the case. It's more to the point. Do whatever is necessary and do whatever is needed to ensure that we are successful. And Eric Bailly, 2 million, wherever it is that he goes. I'm quite sure there's quite a few clubs that would actually be looking to inquire to try and then negotiate with Bailly to say, well, look, you have to take wage cuts. Whatever happens, you're going to have to take wage cuts. It doesn't, regardless of where it is you're going, regardless of what club it is, take the wage cuts so you can actually come here and get game time. I think there's a lot of clubs that are more than happy to spend £2 million on a player, for a centre back. Of course, Bailly's got some good technical ability. He's got quite good pace, but he's very, very aggressive, very aggressive. He's always sliding everywhere, threatening to break people's ankles. But that sometimes you want a bit of that sort of spice in your team. So I can't imagine that there's potentially going to be like a lot of clubs that would. I can't imagine there's going to be a lot of clubs that will come in for him, but I can't say that there's not going to be alternate suitors along with Real Betis looking to inquire in the player. So we'll just have to see what happens and how the story progresses from here on out. Personally, he's on my Deadwood list, so it's just one of those things. Get gone, off you go. Pleasure whilst you were here, but we got to move on. We got to grow. We got to get better. We've got to be more successful. We've got to win. Got to win trophies. That's just the be all and end all at the end of the day. So it's just one of those things. So 2 million, if that's the stab in the heart that we're going to have to take, then that's what we have to take. Break finances, whatever it is. It's Deadwood player, so got to go. But Manchester United, this is on you. The fact that you're having to sell a player for £2 million when you bought him for 30, that's on you. That's once again just your terrible negotiating skills. So with our hands are tied. Our hands are now tied. So now you're going to have to take the pain, short-term pain, for longer-term gain. But anyway, that's basically going to wrap this up. It's just a short just a short little video. I'm trying to experiment with these being a little bit short and sweet rather than just having to pick and choose topics to go over. If there's something that I feel is worth addressing in relation to players or the club, or maybe it's something to do with the sale, it's something that we obviously will just need to go over, trying to keep it as brief as possible. Ideally, if I'm able to sort of get this to around a 10-minute mark video, because I can imagine that there's probably not a huge amount of um, attention span, shall we say, to want to watch a 15-minute video compared to a 10-minute video, or even if I somehow do crazy things with it. I'll tell you what, it's a bit of a time warp. It is a bit of a time warp because I always watch like 10-minute videos, and it feels like I'm watching it for a lot longer than 10 minutes. But then I'll record a video like this, and it's like it's already 15 minutes and about 16. Like it's just crazy. It's a complete time warp. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up before I go on too long. So yeah, as I said at the start of the video, second video out of however many, I'll see if I can try and find a subject to add a third video in the day, because I think that'd be nice to be able to try and just put out as much content as possible, just to sort of make this an interesting channel. Come watch some of the some of the content, and if you've got certain opinions about some of the things I say, if you've got certain viewpoints about some of the topics, if there's a topic you want me to discuss, do drop it in the comments, and along with dropping some comments, do be sure to drop a like and do subscribe, turn your notification bell on if you want to know when I've uploaded a video and put some content out there. Then that would be massively appreciated. Any and all support, regardless of in what form it is, even just watching the videos, just viewership is massively appreciated, and will help to grow this channel and get us put on the map a bit. I know it's not going to be easy. I know it's not going to be a quick process by any means. We could be here for years, but it's just one of those things. I do enjoy doing this. I love to do this, being able to talk about something that I have an interest in, because I don't have much of a social life outside of the house. So yeah, it's just one of those things that I just enjoy doing this. And if you guys like it, if there's certain aspects that you want to try and engage in this, then drop comments down below. But yeah, like, subscribe, and we'll be seeing y'all again soon. And I promise, I'll try to do my best to put out another video later on tonight. But unless something crazy happens between now and then that I feel is absolutely necessary to put out a video, or even just go live. Maybe just go live. It's like just a string of information. Maybe I'll just go live. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll be looking to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.